Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Simple Art for Adults. My name is Erin, and today is our Sunday Funday. And like I promised, I'm going to record this. It is now Saturday evening, about 5:30. Everybody's eaten, everything's okay. So I am going to go ahead and just do a little bit of coloring here with you today and do some talking, some chatting. Most of this one, I do believe, is going to be taken up by the many questions you guys asked me in the Facebook group, and some of them are so interesting. I'm really excited to answer those for you. Before we do that today, though, what I want to do is show you what we're going to be coloring in today. This is Christmas Magic by Deborah Muller, and the cover was colored by Sean Bobar, who is actually in our group. So if everybody wants to tell Sean congratulations for having this work on the cover of this book, it is very beautiful. Alright, so this is a really cute book. This was a gift from Opal out of Hawaii. She sent me with this book along with a couple others. A lot of the images are just absolutely adorable, and this is the first work by Deborah Muller that I have ever owned, and now that I have it and I enjoy it, I may have to get more because I really like this book. So as you can see, we have plenty of pictures that range from very detailed, and some of them are a little simpler. I like the different animals, and with the Christmas lights in the background, I just think that they're really cute. Like this one's a little simpler. You can kind of go to town on the stocking there. So what I've decided to color is this picture right here, because I think it's adorable. I want to color the unicorn. I have no idea how I'm going to color it, but I am going to color it. I'm actually going to be using two different things today. I picked these up last night and wanted to show them to you. I've never used them before. Sorry for the glare from the lamp. These are the Crayola dual-tipped markers. There are 16 colors, and they come just like this. On one end, you have a brush nib, like that. Sorry, I have black all over my hands from markers. And on the other end, you have a tiny little bullet nib. Let me find a piece of scrap paper so I can kind of show this to you guys. I don't even know if I have one handy. I have some yellow paper that'll just have to work. So basically these are two different colors on either end with these markers. So with your brush nib you get, my handwriting's going to be off. I was diagnosed with the flu today. I am not feeling the greatest, so my coloring's probably going to be off. My handwriting is going to be shaking, and then the other color that comes with the marker kind of complements it. So these are perfect for those of you who do hand lettering, I think. And it's also like kind of like the blend and shade, the chameleon color tones. It gives you both colors that you need. The only thing about this that kind of weirds me out a little bit is that most of the time, and you guys are probably going to agree, most of the time when you color something, you're going to start out with your brush nib because this is going to allow you to cover more ground more quickly, right? So when you go back in to add your tiny details over what you've already colored, that color with the little nib is actually lighter. So you're not going to be able to see it. So that means we're going to have to do things the opposite way. Whatever I color with these markers, I'm going to have to color it in with the tiny nib first. And then I'll have to go back and add in my shadows with the brush nib. Which is kind of strange, but it is what it is and we'll make it work. So we are definitely going to color this today. There's glue stuck in my book. That's all that is. Don't panic. So I'm going to use the markers, I think, for like the little bitty details here. I may, the things in the background. The background itself, either I'm just going to leave alone or I'll probably get out my Lyra pencils and do that. And for the pencils, I'm actually going to do a review on these, or else I would take them out of these containers. This is just way too much packaging for 16 markers. But once I do my formal review on them, they are coming out of those plastic things and just going to lay in the tin. It's a beautiful tin. These were $12 and 30-something cents on sale at Target last night, so I went ahead and picked them up. They are water-based, and the colors, as you saw on my yellow paper, the colors are very vibrant, so I'm really excited about these. I don't use a lot of water markers, but I figure there's no time like the present. So to actually color this, we're going to be using these pencils. These are the Crayola Artist pencils with the gel cores. So I'm going to be using these to color in the image. I have not swatched these properly. So I will need, sorry for my arm guys, I will need some paper. I'm just going to get out a small little pad here so I can swatch my colors before I get started. I'm not going to do the background first. And this is another question before I go into my Q&A. This is another question that I get asked all the time. How do I decide how to do my background? Do I do my background first or do I do my background last? And how do I make that decision? A lot of colorists out there will tell you that you need to do your background first. I don't know why this is. I'm sure that the people who do it that way, I'm sure that they have their reasons behind it, and I'm sure it's a really good reason. But it doesn't always work for me. Sometimes when I look at an image for the first time, I can look at it and know what I want it to be. Like I could look at this and say, oh, this definitely needs to have a sunset in the background. And in that case, I'll do my background first, and then I'll color everything around it just to kind of match, if that makes sense. If I have no idea what I want the background to look like, but I do know what I want to do for the subject, like I do in this case, I want the unicorn to be shades of blue and purple, then I'll do the subject first and then the details, and then I'll try to decide what colors I think are going to look best in the background, and we'll do it last. So that's just my train of thought when it comes to doing backgrounds. There's no set in stone rule for how to do them, guys. You can do them however you want. So I am picking out some greens because I'm going to start out with these holly leaves up here in the corner, and there's another one down in this corner. And I just don't know which greens I want to use. There are only 24 pencils in here, guys, so my selection is a little bit limited. I have a jade green, and I have, what's this, yellow green, and I have regular green. I think we're going to skip the jade green and just use the other two, the yellow green and the regular green. And if I need to, I may be able to come in with a marker. We actually have a pine green marker that I may be able to use if I don't like the way they turn out. All right, so without further ado, let me move all this out of the way and we'll zoom in on this top holly leaf here, and I will get started with answering some of the questions that you guys asked in my Sunday Funday Q&A post. Oh, before I do that, I know that I promised you guys that we would be doing the winners for the Black Widow colored pencils. There are going to be 6 winners. That is not going to be until this evening. I'm going to announce the winners during my live stream this evening. Now, things have been going a little haywire around my house. I've been diagnosed with the flu. My son is sick. We've got things going on. There will be a live stream tomorrow night at some point. If I can't manage to make it happen at 7 Central and it's late, I will let you guys know. So don't plan on it being set in stone because I can't make any promises that it'll be at 7. And I'm very, very sorry. But I will do my absolute best. Okay, so this book is printed on Create Space paper. I've never used these Crayola pencils in the Create Space paper before, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. If I don't like them, what I'll end up doing is just going and getting my other Crayola pencils out. And I am taking my yellow green and just putting down a light layer on the leaves, and then I'll go back in and shade them momentarily. I am not going to do this color along style. I may every once in a while kind of stop and point out what I'm doing to you guys, but I'm not going to call out every single color. This is the Sunday Funday. It's a color and chat. It's not a color along. I do tend to keep track of the colors I use, so if I don't call one out and you have a question about the colors that I use to do something, you can ask me on Facebook or you can ask me in the comments, and I'll be happy to get you that information. So let's go ahead and get started with answering some of these questions. I'm going to be doing a lot of talking, so I have a bottle of water handy. All right, the first question is from Nisi. Hi, Nisi. And Nisi wants to know, how did you feel when you first entered the coloring community? Did I feel intimidated, overwhelmed with all the beautiful pieces, right at home, like an outsider, etc.? That's a really good question, and I knew I was going to have a whole lot of fun answering it. To be completely honest with you, when I first started coloring, I didn't know the coloring community exists. And that's just the truth of it. When I first started coloring, I went to Walmart and I bought one of their, like their Whimsical Escapes or whatever it is, coloring books that they sell up there. And I bought the Crayola colored pencils. And I brought them home. I just needed something to do. I just needed something to do, something to occupy my time that didn't involve a screen or anything like that. So that's what I did. It was at some point within the next couple of days, and it may have been the very same day, that it dawned on me that the coloring book I was coloring in was designed for adults. It was not a children's coloring book. So I thought, well, this is interesting. If I'm coloring in a coloring book that's intended for adults, then that must mean there's some kind of a trend and that other people enjoy coloring. So I did a Google search and I just typed in Google adult coloring in the Google search bar, and it brought up so many results. Some of them were blog posts that I ended up going and reading. Some of them were videos, and the first one I ever watched was from Jennifer Stay at Coloring Bliss. And at that point, once I first discovered that first YouTube video about coloring, I was hooked. I binge watched everything I could find on ColorTube for days on end. So to answer your question, how did I feel when I first entered the community? I'm going to take that as how did I feel when I realized that the community really existed, that there were so many people who truly enjoyed adult coloring. I felt not alone anymore, I guess you could say. It was a wonderful feeling for me to know that the hobby that I had recently picked up and that I was absolutely in love with, and the hobby that people, and I'm sure that some of you guys have experienced this yourself, a hobby that people teased me over. What are you, 5? Isn't coloring for kindergartners? I'm sure that you guys have probably heard some of those comments yourself. When I discovered that there was an entire group of people, that there were multiple communities, multiple people on YouTube doing these videos and coloring in adult coloring books, and I was happy. I was 100% overjoyed that this community existed, and I knew from that moment on that I really wanted to be a part of that. So I hope that answers your question. The second question comes from Cassie Stalsberg. What is my most favorite picture I have colored to date? That's a good one. I may actually just have to show it to you. Hold on a second. Let me see if it's in here or if it's somewhere else. I actually don't have my most favorite one. My mom, I gave it to my mom. It was a picture of a mermaid done by Selena Fennick. And I framed it and gave it to my mom. And she had it until she died, and then she gave it to my grandmother. I'm just going to dig through this binder, guys. Give me a second here. Where is it? This one. This was the first grayscale picture I ever colored. All right. I colored this. It was printed in the April 2017 issue of Color On magazine. For the life of me, I cannot remember the name of the artist. I want to say it's Selena Fennick, but I could be very, very wrong. And if I am, whoever did color this, please forgive me for getting it wrong. It was printed in Color On magazine in April 2017, which is the only reason why I'm showing you. If I couldn't remember anything about this image, I wouldn't even show it today. But this was printed in the magazine, and I colored it, and it was my first ever attempt at grayscale, and I think it turned out just absolutely lovely. So I was very, very pleased with that. So I hope that answers your question as well, Cassie. This is the favorite picture I have ever colored to date, just because it was my first grayscale and because I liked it so much. All right, my next question is also from Nisi. What is it like being a content writer? How long have you been doing it? Why did you start? And what is entailed in your job? That's quite the question. First and foremost, a content writer is someone who, like, if you ever go onto a website, right, and they have like articles and blogs and things like that posted so that you can learn more about their products or what they do. I'm the person who writes that content, and I write for all different types of clients. I write right now, I write for HVAC companies, so heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. I write for technology companies. I write for finance companies. I've even written for escort services. So I write a little bit of everything. I work from home, and while a lot of people do say, "Oh my goodness, that's so wonderful, you must be so lucky," there are benefits, but there are also drawbacks, guys. You know, a lot of my friends and family, even to this day, think that just because I work from home that I don't have to do anything. So, you know, they want to come over, or they call me up and say, "Hey, let's go run off and go shopping today," or "Can you give me a ride to so-and-so place because my car's broke down?" I think people tend to forget that I do have a job. I have to pay the bills. I have to put the food on the table. So that's the biggest downfall, is not having people understand that you have a schedule that you have to adhere to. You have deadlines, you have clients expecting you to get things done, and if you don't get those things done, then not only do you not get paid, but you lose those clients too. So that's pretty much what it's like. I wake up in the morning, I have my coffee, I color a little bit, then I go through my emails and see what work needs to be done, and I get started. I work in the morning usually from 9 to 3, which I know is a relatively short work day, but I do work 6 days a week most of the time, so I get my 40 plus hours in. And that's basically what it's like. I've been doing it for 10 years. I got started back in late 2006. Oh no, it's 11 years now. I got started back in late 2006, doing it part-time while I worked for customer service for Sprint, the cell phone company. I was working in a call center for them. And I needed extra money being a single parent. So I decided to start writing articles for a company called Text Broker, and they do still exist. If you're interested, just look up Text Broker, all one word. After a couple years of that and some experience, I went to a few other websites where people post jobs, and I took on some new clients of my own. And so since then, it's just pretty much blossomed for me. That's what I do exclusively. It took me about 2 years to get from a point where I was doing it part-time while working a full-time job to be able to quit my full-time job and do it exclusively and pay the bills. I started doing it because I was tired of working for the man. And I know that sounds a little bit ridiculous and cliche, but it's the honest to goodness truth. Working for certain employers is tough. Working with certain people is tough. And I had 3 kids. I was a single mom, and I was on the verge of getting fired for attendance because, 3 kids that are sick, they can't go to daycare. You don't have anybody to watch them. I didn't have a lot of really supportive family when my kids were young, so it was basically just me. So I was on the verge of getting fired for attendance anyway. So I just decided to make the switch. And that's why I did it. I think that answers everything. Question number 3, what changes have you seen take place in the coloring community since you first came on the scene? I'm seeing more and more people confident enough to start their own channels, and that just really makes me happy. I look at ColorTube like Jello. There's always room for more. So guys, if you are thinking, man, I really wish I could make videos, I have some things I think I could teach the community, or I just want to talk to people and color, but I don't think I can do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you absolutely can. I use my cell phone to record my videos, and I have a $20 lamp sitting right here that I use to light my videos, and it does fairly well for me. So if you are interested in starting a channel, you absolutely can start a channel. There's no reason at all why you shouldn't. So that's the biggest change I've seen, Nisi, is I've seen more people join the community and do wonderful with it. So the more the merrier. And if you want to start a channel, go ahead and do so. There's lots of advice out there on, watch YouTube for how to do tutorials, watch YouTube for how to keep your audience engaged. All kinds of great information out there for you guys. So I hope that answers that question as well. Rita Brown wants to know, how many coloring books do I have? Rita, I forgot to count. I'm going to guess something like 60, I think. I really don't have as much as a lot of people do, or as people assume that I do. 60 coloring books takes up quite a bit of space. I have my entire shelf on my desk filled. I have a big plastic tote that I keep tucked down on the entertainment center below my TV in my bedroom. It's full. So I'm thinking I have maybe closer to 70 now, because I've received a lot of coloring books from my subscribers and fans and friends. So probably closer to 70 at this point. And there are some that I have yet to color in, so I really need to do that. This was one of them. I hadn't colored in this book yet, so I was in the mood to color something Christmassy, so that's what I'm doing. All right, I need a drink. Bear with me. All right, Laura Malone. If you were a fruit, what kind of fruit would you be and why? I have no stinking idea. I think I would probably be... I can't answer that. I don't know. Let's come back to that one. Let's answer your other questions, Laura, and I'll think about that a little bit more. If money was no object and you could be totally ridiculous, what one art-related thing would you buy? I would buy the Faber-Castell Carl box. If you've not seen the Faber-Castell Carl box, and it's spelled with a K, go look that. Don't do it now, of course. Watch the video first, but make yourself a note and go look up Carl box. It has like everything Faber-Castell makes in it. So it's got the polychromos, the Albrechter, oh, what am I trying to say? The pastel pencils, the pens. It has, it's like everything, quite literally everything. And it comes in this absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous box. It's a wooden box. And it's like, I don't know, Laura can probably answer. I think the last time I checked it, it was like $2,500 for the whole shebang. So if I could go absolutely crazy and money was no object and I could buy anything I wanted, I would buy the Carl box. If money was an object, the one supply that I want, and the one that I'm actually still saving for, and most of you guys already know this, is the full set of 120 Caran d'Ache Pablo pencils, because I love them more than life itself, and I need them in my life. So that is what I want more than anything else in the entire world, is the 120 set of Pablos. And I am saving for them slowly. I'm slowly saving for them, but I am saving for them. All right, and question 3, if you could recommend 3 of your most favorite coloring books from different authors, what 3 would they be and why? Summer Nights from Hannah Carlzon, and I like Summer Nights because I'm a botanicals girl. I like coloring leaves and flowers and whimsical things, and I think that one does a good job of capturing all of it. I would also, let's see, what else would I recommend? Gosh, this is hard, Laura. Enchanted Forest by Johanna Basford is my favorite book by Johanna Basford. I absolutely love her. And then the miniature Enchanted Faces by Hannah Lynn. I recommend that book, and it is one of my favorites because it's quick to color the pictures. You can hurry up and get them done in a little bit of no time. So if you just got a brand new set of pencils and you're dying to try them out, or you just got markers and you're dying to try them out, that book is perfect for that. And all the pictures in it are just extremely cute. So those are the 3 books I would recommend from 3 different artists. Let's go back to the fruit question. If I could be any fruit, what would I be and why? I'm going to say I would be a pomegranate. Pomegranates are delicious. I like pomegranate flavored anything, and pomegranates are also very beautiful. They're pretty complex once you open them up, and they're a little intimidating at first, but once you dive in and you start munching on them, you realize it's a pretty beautiful thing. So I think that's why I'd have to say pomegranate. I know that's cheesy, but Hey, that was a hard question. Give me a break. Let's see what else I've got. Melissa Zilkowski. I hope I said that correct. If I butcher anybody's names, please feel free to correct me. I'd rather say it right. I'd rather have you say something so I can say it right from now on than continue to get it wrong. Melissa Zilkowski asked, do you do anything else crafty? I do. I draw a little bit. I'm brand new to drawing, so I don't draw very well, but I do draw a bit. I also make cards. I haven't had a lot of time to do it, and I feel really guilty that people aren't going to be getting Christmas cards that are handmade this year. But one of my New Year's resolutions is to start making next year's Christmas cards really early in the year. I just bought all kinds of paper and whatnot on sale from Hobby Lobby. They had a 50% off sale on their crafting papers and stuff like that. So I bought a whole bunch, and so in 2018, I'm just going to start doing it earlier on. Not necessarily making the cards, but doing the die cuts and I've got fabric because I have the Fabi by Sizzix, so it'll cut through fabric, and I have the dies and whatnot. So I'm going to start cutting out my little fabric pieces and my paper pieces and just getting my embellishments ready to go so that when it gets closer to Christmas, I can personalize everyone's cards a little bit better. So, anything else? That's about all I do that's crafty, to be honest. I was never a crafty person until the last, couple years or so. I cannot sew. There's something that you should know about me. I absolutely cannot sew. I can't even sew a button on a shirt. It will fall off. I am the worst sewer. I can't sew. And I always have to have somebody sew for me because I'm just that bad at it. All right, Letitia JoJo Smith. What is your favorite thing to do with your family? Do you have any other hobbies besides coloring? And what is my favorite color combo? Those are great questions. My favorite thing to do with my family is go hunt Pokemon. And I know that seems really silly, but we all, with my kids being the ages that they are, they're 15, 13, and 11. And with my kids being that ages, it's so hard to find anything that everybody likes to do, that everybody's happy doing together. And that is one thing we all enjoy doing. So we will, when the weather's nice, we will go out and we will walk and we will catch Pokemon. So we get our exercise and our family time in at the same time. Do I have any other hobbies besides coloring? I used to be a gamer. I played World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, and Destiny. I'm taking a drink, so that's why my hands aren't in the screen. I gave up gaming because a lot of the gaming community is just so negative, and it put me in a negative frame of mind. So I'm a firm believer in you are what you allow, and you are what you surround yourself with. So I stopped gaming, and I started coloring exclusively, and I've been much, much happier for it. Other than that, my card making is kind of a hobby, I guess. I haven't had a lot of time for it, but I do it. And that's about it. Yeah. My favorite color combo is a difficult one. I like the yellow and purple. I've seen a lot of people do like a yellow to purple gradient in their flowers, and I haven't mastered that yet, but I totally plan to because I think it's really, really beautiful. So I would say right now, and it's going to change, my favorite color combo changes, but right now it's yellow and purple combos. If I had a chance, would I this is from Shannon Coppersmith. If I had a chance, would I produce my own coloring book, and what subject would it be? If I could make my own coloring book, and I know a lot of you guys are probably not going to like it very much, if I could make my own coloring book, it would be nature. It would be flowers, fruits, vegetables, things like that, just like still lifes, because that's what I like coloring the most. I love coloring flowers and leaves and things of that nature. I would love, love, love to do a food-based coloring book, like where you take all your favorite dishes and you draw them out and you color them in. So stuff like, I don't know, just off the top of my head, spaghetti, ravioli, a gourmet pizza, steak and potatoes, some tofu, sushi. I would love a coloring book that's just based solely on food. I think it would be a lot of fun. Let's see. If you could meet any coloring book author, who would it be? That is really a tough question. I think I would have to say Hannah Carlzon. And I say that because her art is different and intriguing. And you know that she draws a lot of her girls with like piercings and tattoos and things like that. And I have piercings and tattoos. I'm, not like crazy with them or anything, but I do have them. And I would just kind of, I think, like to get to know her and what compels her to draw her her girls in that fashion, and just kind of know what kind of person she is. I think that would really, really make me happy. I think that would be a day well spent if I could spend a day with Hannah Carlzon. So, what is my favorite movie? You guys ready to laugh? My favorite movie is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It is my absolute #1 most favorite movie of all time, and I will watch it on repeat for weeks on end and drive everybody in my house crazy. What is my favorite Christmas movie? I've never been too much of a Christmas movie fan. I'm weird. I don't like Disney either. I know that some of you guys are like gasping right now and probably, unsubscribing and leaving the channel and telling the world how horrible I am, but I don't like Disney. I'm not a Disney fan. I think I burned myself out on it so bad when my kids were little that I have absolutely no interest in it anymore. I just don't want anything to do with Disney at all. I know, I'm horrible. I need to be ashamed of myself. My favorite Christmas movie? Probably A Christmas Story. I think that's everybody's favorite Christmas movie. You'll shoot your eye out. I gotta say that's my favorite. I can watch that one every single year without feeling like I'm burned out on it. So I think that's the one I'm gonna go with. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. No, that's not too many questions. Feel free to ask as many as you like. If you're curious about stuff, I'm more than happy to answer it. And I think it's fun to get to know the people who are in your group and your community. And it makes you feel like you're actually really friends with them. And it makes it easier to take their advice or to accept constructive criticism from them. So, and I'm going to ask you guys questions too. So don't think you're going to get off the hook. I'm going to be asking some of you guys questions. I got to think of good ones though to ask you when you post your work in the group on Facebook. I got to think of what to ask you guys. And I'm trying to think of a question to ask at the end of this video too. I don't know what. Alright, my camera just probably glitched a little bit. For whatever reason, it stops at a certain point and then switches to a new video. It'll only record up to 4 gigabytes of video at once before it breaks it off and switches it into another clip. So if you noticed that, I'm sorry. Alright, next question. Shannon, this isn't a question, but Shannon Coppersmith, she also said, I watched your last one where you said there weren't as many questions and you were surprised they weren't more personal. Yeah, you guys did a much better job this time. Not that I don't mind answering color questions. I'll answer coloring questions all day. I was just expecting something a little different, but this is wonderful. I'm having a lot of fun with this. So, all right, next, Laura Malone again. I have one more. If you could have dinner with 3 famous people, dead or alive, who would they be and why? This one's going to be easy for me. Michio Kaku. If you don't know who Michio Kaku is, he's like an astrophysicist, and he's brilliant. And he comes up with some of the best theories on space-time that I've ever heard. Those kinds of things interest me to no end. So if I could have dinner with him, I absolutely, most certainly, 100% would. I would also love to have dinner with Leonardo da Vinci, much for the same reason, because he's brilliant. And I would very much like the opportunity to pick his brain for some of his brilliantness. trying to figure out what color I want to make this bow. We'll do these colors. And for the third one, anybody dead or alive? Famous person dead or alive. We're just going to say Hugh Jackman because I happen to find Hugh Jackman incredibly attractive, and my son is named after his character in X-Men. Yes, my son's name is Logan, and yes, it is all Hugh Jackman's fault. And my Crayola pencil tip just broke in the Tagall. These have been bumped around quite a bit, so if they break, please don't take it as some kind of quality issue, because I doubt that's the case. I think it's the fact that my pencils have been dropped and smacked around. And it broke again. Alright, give me just a second, guys. Let me dump this sharpener out. I can't tell if there's a piece of something stuck in it. Doesn't appear to be. So what we're going to do instead, because apparently that sharpener is being or this pencil is going to be a pain, we'll go with the trusty M&R. See if it'll sharpen with this. If it doesn't sharpen now, my magenta may just be a lost cause. You may have to do something else. I think we're in business now. Weird how that works. Some pencil sharpeners just don't like certain pencils, and some pencils just don't like certain pencil sharpeners. All right, where were we? I answered the famous people. Do my questions make you feel like you're in a pageant yet? Well, I mean, I haven't had to talk about saving the dolphins yet, Laura, so not that bad, not yet. So I haven't had to give any generic answers about trying to save the world. So far, so good. All right, next after Laura, we have Meredith Yates. You found a magic lamp with a genie in it. What are your 3 wishes? Oh, well, this one is actually harder than you would think. The first thing that I would wish for, of course, and I know it's going to sound corny, and Laura Malone, here's your pageant answer, I would wish for world peace. I would wish for everybody to just stinking get along. My second wish, I would wish for everyone to prosper, for everyone to be able to make it, for people to not have so many financial burdens and to be homeless and unable to find food and that kind of thing. So world peace, world prosper. And for the last one, I would wish for cures to every disease known to mankind. Cancer, lupus, Lyme disease, fibromyalgia. I would wish for the cure. And I think that would pretty well cover everyone and everything and make for a much happier world. Guys, this is pink and it's probably not showing up so well on the camera, but I did put it down there, I promise. Michelle, I'm sorry, Michelle, if I don't say your name right, please correct me. Michelle Banazak. What is the one coloring tool that you couldn't color without besides pencils? The one coloring tool I couldn't color without besides pencils is a blender pencil. But that is a pencil, so I won't say that. Aside from any pencils whatsoever, the one coloring tool I couldn't live without is this. This thing comes in so handy. It will erase smudges so quickly, and it will erase things that a normal eraser wouldn't erase. It's easy to use. I've had that same battery in that thing for months on end, and it hasn't died yet. It's cheap. It comes with like 20 refills when you buy it. It takes a single AAA battery, and basically it's got a little button here on the side. If you guys haven't seen these, it has a little button on the side, and you push it, and this spins. So it spins this eraser. Now you can hold it at an angle on a piece of sandpaper and sharpen it to a really, really, really fine point if you want to, so you can get down in tiny little places. For that, I actually use my Tombow Mono Zero that I don't know where it is right now. But anyway, I have a Tombow Mono Zero eraser that's teeny tiny that I also use, but this one is more important to me than that one. And that's just my preference. So that's the answer to that question. I could not live without my electric eraser. Lindsay Couch, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live and why? I would live in Australia because Australia is absolutely stinking beautiful, and I love it there. And that's really the only reason why. If you could live in Australia and you could enjoy the best, most popular city life. You can go to clubs, you can have dinner at some of the world's finest restaurants, or you can travel, you know, several miles and you can go out into some of the world's most deserted places and out in the desert. It's just, you know, it would be perfect for me. Plus, I like warm weather, and I also happen to like kangaroos. Yes, I'm aware they can be angry and kick me in the face, but that's okay. I think they're cute. So if I could live anywhere in the world, and this one was easy for me because I've been saying this for all my life. If I could live anywhere in the world, it would absolutely be Australia. I'm just shading inside the bow now, guys. And this is, like I said, this is Create Space paper, so this isn't going to turn out as smooth and pretty as some of my other things will. Let me see if I can move that lamp a little. It's going to get a little darker, but maybe you can see what I'm doing now. And that's right in the way. Gosh, let's see. Is that better? No, that's not better. Sorry, everybody. I'm trying to situate. There, that is better. Trina Johnson asks, do you finish every picture that you start to color? Does it bother you having books filled with beautiful pictures waiting to be colored and wondering when you'll have the time to finish them? This is something that I was just thinking about the other day, so it's kind of neat that you actually asked me this question. I don't finish every picture that I start. Sometimes they are works in progress, and I do go back to them. Other times they're not works in progress anymore. They're just abandoned. And it's either because I started coloring it and didn't really like coloring it. I wasn't having fun. Or I did something so wrong to the picture that I don't think there's any salvaging it, and I just didn't want to continue. My mindset has changed a lot in the last several months toward abandoning pictures, though, and today I try to finish every picture, whether I feel like I've made a grievous error or not. I try to finish everything. I may go back to some of my old works in progress and try to get them finished now that I have had that kind of change of heart, even though I don't really care too much for them. Let me see if I can show you one. I think I have one in... Is it this one? This picture right here. I started it following somebody's combination that they gave me, and I wanted to do her hair blue, but I don't like it. It just turned out way, way, way too blue, and I doubt that I'll ever come back to this, just because I'm just not liking it at all. On the other hand, I did finish this one, and I liked it a lot. And I finished this one, and I started this one, and this one will be finished. I only quit doing this one because I started coloring it with the Marco Renoir pencils, and they all started breaking on me, and it frustrated me, so I put the whole thing up. But I can go back with the Renoirs and some polychromos to finish that now, so that's not a big deal. What's over here? Oh yeah, the nameplate page on this one also. And I think I started something else in this. Yes, this one. This is turning out lovely too, and I just completely forgot to go back in and work on it more. So this is Prismacolor Nectar, Peach, Light Peach, Deco Peach. I lost my sticky notes, so I'd have to swatch them out to see what the colors are. But I'm so close to having this background done, and I do need to finish this. As a matter of fact, guys, thank you very much for asking me this question, Trina. I am going to flag it. just like that. And I will come back and finish that soon. I really like the way that was going. I can't remember why I stopped. There must have been a reason, but I don't remember what it was. Sorry if the camera shakes a little. Does it bother me to have books filled with pictures waiting to be colored and wondering whether you'll ever have time to finish them? I mean, okay, so let's be realistic, right? If I have 70 coloring books and all 70 coloring books have 50 pages in them, let's see, because my math is horrible. So let's do 50 coloring books times 70 pages. That's 3,500 coloring pages. That's basically 10 years coloring a single page every single day. So, you know, when we have all these coloring books, we kind of have to be realistic with ourselves and realize that we're not going to finish them all. There's just absolutely no way we can color all the pictures in 50 coloring books. Does it bother me that I have pictures and I don't know when I'll get to color them? Absolutely not. It doesn't bother me a bit because I know very good and well that I have more to color than I'm going to be able to color in 3 lifetimes, and I'll continue to collect coloring books anyway. That's just how it is. Sometimes I've been known to buy coloring books just because there's one picture in it that I really, really like. It's just how I do things. If I see an image that that speaks to me, that I want to color, I will get the book that it's in and I'll color that image, even if I don't color any other picture in that book for all of eternity. So, I don't know. I understand what you're saying, that it seems kind of like a bummer that you have all these really pretty pictures and you just can't find the time to color them. But like I said, even if we could finish one every single day, if you've got to the point where you've collected between 50 and 60 coloring books, you can't color all those in a lifetime anyway. There's just not enough days. So you can enlist someone's help. You can color the ones that you like and then pass them on to someone else. You could admire the artwork. I have some books that I don't know that I'll ever color, but I like looking at the artwork inside of them. So there's that as well. Abigail Foster, do you keep your pictures in the book or take them out? If so, how do you store your finished pictures? Abigail, for the most part, I do keep my pictures in the books. I used to take them out. I used to take it like an X-Acto knife in my non-perforated books like this, and I'd flatten out the spine, and I'd take my knife and just cut down the center of the book to cut the page out. But I don't do that anymore because I found that it's just time consuming and there's really no need for me to do it. So what I started doing is, let me zoom this out some so you guys can see. I'm going to make you all dizzy with all the zooming going on. So for the ones that I've colored that aren't still in the book, I put them in sheet protectors like this. These, you get a whole bunch of these, like 25 for 88 cents at Walmart. I put them all in sheet protectors like this. These are the ones that I printed or took out of coloring pages. So as you can see, there's a lot of different Hannah Lynn ones here. This is my first thing I ever colored with alcohol markers, and the rest are all done in pencil. This was my first Nikki Burnett. I colored this. It was a freebie that she offered just to see whether or not I was a real big fan of her art. I'm still not sure. I don't know 100%. I don't have any of her coloring books yet. This was printed in Color On magazine by Terry Sherman, and I did enjoy the colors I used on that one. And I also printed this out on ivory paper, which was the first thing I colored like that. Artwork by Jennifer Stay that I printed and colored. This came out of one of the first coloring books I ever purchased, and I think this one's done with, I want to say this is Crayola pencil. This one is Crayola pencil. This one I already showed you guys. And this one is Crayola pencil. This is the first page, the first adult coloring page I ever finished from start to finish. So I keep this one always. So for the ones that you print or the ones that you want to tear out of your books or whatever, just grab yourself a binder. I really like this Oxford one because it has like all this extra space for you to store things. So if you wanted to travel with it, you could. It's got a zipper here. It's got like the little zipper pocket here that I keep all my little brochures and my color wheel and stuff behind there. And then it's got a bigger pocket back here. It has another pocket right here. I picked mine up on clearance sale at Office Depot for like $3. If I remember, I'll put a link down in the description box to these. They're more expensive now. I was lucky to get mine on clearance sale, but they are very nice. It's a nice thick canvas. And it's 2-inch rings. So if I can show you, the rings are nice and big, so you're going to put a lot of stuff in here. I have all my swatch charts in here. So all my pencils and markers that I've swatched out are in here. I've even got some folders that are in here. I've got some artwork I do need to finish still. This is from Christina McAllister. That was a giveaway she was doing. You guys remember these when I was doing my paper video. And then my combinations that I keep track of go in this folder. So to answer your question, I kind of went off on a tangent there, didn't I? To answer your question, it depends. If they're in a book, I try to keep them in the book. If they're not in a book to start with, and I print them out, then they go, when I finish them, they go into one of those page protectors, and that's where they stay. And the page protectors also, from what I understand, even if you're like coloring with something like Crayola, it helps to boost the light fastness because it keeps some of the sunlight from getting to it. Whether or not that's true, I can't be 100% certain, guys. I wish I could tell you for sure, but I know that keeping it out of the sun in the binder and in a page protector is good for it. That's for certain. All right, so next question. How many pencil sets do you own? Oh my gosh, Shannon, you know what? I didn't count. Let me, let's see if I can remember off the top of my head. And I won't count duplicate sets because I have more than one set of Prismacolor, so we won't count that. All right, so let's just write them down. So I have Prisma, Polychromos, the Lyra, Polycolor. I have the Dick Blick Studio, Blick Artist Studio. I have the Koh-i-Noor Mondeluz, which is a watercolor pencil. I have the Black Widow, and I have the Scorpions. I should have prepared, guys. I know this is probably boring you all. Feel free, once this piece of paper goes away, this segment's over, you can come back if you want to skip it. I have the Holbein Pastels. I have the regular Crayola. I have the Crayola Artist. I have Faber-Castell Classic. I have the Cretacolor pencils. I have the Soho Urban Artist pencils from Jerry's Artorama. Let's see. I have the Marco Renoir, or however you say it. And I have the Marco Raffine. I have some Shuttle Art pencils, which are budget-friendly pencils. Surprisingly good budget-friendly pencils. I can't spell. You don't even need to write the word pencils. They're all pencils. Let's see. I think that's it. I think that's all of them. Oh, the Chameleon color tones. And then I have the Caran d'Ache Fan Color, which is a student grade watercolor pencil. Alright, so that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I have 18 sets of pencils, to answer your question. And I may be leaving one out, but I don't think so. Oh, yep, I am. So there's 18. So Scholars are 19. I have a set of Scholars. So that's 19. And then I have some Target pencils. They're called Up and Up, I think. I don't like them. I don't ever use them. I have some Prang. So there's 21. I don't know. If I think of something else while we keep doing this, I'll come back, but that's 21 sets of pencils that I have. I know, guys, it's horrible. Keep in mind, though, that a lot of people send me pencils to review and things like that, and some of the cheaper ones that I have, like the Faber-Castell Classics and the Craycolor ones, I bought to try on Create Space paper because I like the harder pencils best on that paper. So that's why I bought them, is just to see whether or not they would work out well for me. And they do. They actually work fairly well. Just to kind of expand on that a little bit, though, before I go on and answer the next question, my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, has recently gotten into adult coloring. She has seen me post the things I color on my Facebook wall, and she always admires it and says that's so pretty. And I say things like, it's really relaxing. It's like the equivalent of meditating. I would rather sit at home on Friday night and color a picture than go out with friends to the bar and go to the club and go party or you know, any of that. I would so much rather just sit at home and color. And so last night, that's what she did. She went and bought herself a coloring book, and she bought herself a set of, it looks like she colored it with markers. I can't tell. But she sat and she colored this little intricate picture. She colored and colored and colored until it was all finished. So I was very, very proud of her. She was proud of herself. She said she had a really, really good time doing it. So some of the supplies that I have, some of my coloring books that I'm not going to use, some of the ones that I picked up at Walmart a while back, and a few of the ones that I got just to show you guys, that I know I'm not going to color in, I will probably end up giving to her to help her get started. I may also donate some, well, I will more than likely donate some pencils to her cause as well. I'd like her to have some soft pencils and some hard pencils, so I'm thinking about giving her my Scholars and maybe the Faber-Castell Classics, so she can have some choices there. I do have some super tips somewhere that I don't use because I like the brush watermarkers better than the super tip ones. So I will probably end up giving those to her. So yeah, I have a lot of stuff, guys. I have a lot of stuff. And you know, you guys are really generous. And I know that people like probably look at it and they're like, how much stuff do you really need, lady? Well, I mean, in all honesty, when you're running a YouTube channel, if I only had one coloring book and one set of colored pencils, and that's all I ever did was color from that one coloring book with that one set of pencils, you guys would get bored very, very quickly with, you know, watching me do things. So for me, I consider it like an expense. Part of running this channel is the need to buy new things to show you. And some of you will say otherwise, I'm sure, but analytics and logistics have proven that if I'm going to keep my viewers and if everybody's going to be happy with what they're seeing, they need to see new, fresh content. And so that's kind of the reason behind why I have so much stuff. That, and sometimes the companies will send me things to review, kind of like Albert did with MediHealth 1 and the Black Widow pencils. He just wanted to send me those pencils so that I could review them and show them to you guys, and hopefully get you guys interested in them as well. And it seems it's worked pretty well because we've had several people go out and buy those pencils even though there's a giveaway coming up tomorrow. So that's why I have so much stuff. So I just basically carried the colors I used here down to here. So that's it. All right, so I want my horse to be purple and blue. I'm gonna do the splotchies purple and the hair purple and the horse blue. That's how I'm gonna handle this. So excuse the noise while I dig in my tin for my pencils. So we've got sky blue. I need to test all these. Light blue, regular blue. I'll bring it over here so you guys can see what I'm doing. There's robin's egg blue, but it's more of a green. My head's in the way, I'm aware, I'm sorry. Trying to look in the tin. What purples do we have? We have this purple. Darn, they don't give us a light purple, do they? Well, that wasn't my plan to color it all with the Crayola. Let's look inside. Let's look in this set. I'll match some colors up. Alright, let me see this color. So that's a nice light blue. What's this one? This is Crayola's version of light blue. That works pretty nice. And then we have sky blue, which I think is just brighter. Yeah. And then we have blue. Yeah, I think that'll work out. We'll just do the Holbein as the lightest. And then I'll use the Holbein purple along with the Crayola purple. And then we should be in purple business. Alright, so I'm going to start with a horse's face. So I need to sharpen the Holbein pencil up just a bit. Alright guys, I have been talking to you all for almost exactly an hour at this point. So what I need to do is take a really quick break, go check on my dogs, go check on my kids, make sure everybody's okay and nobody's sick or anything like that. And then I will be back with you in a moment. It's only going to be about that much of a second for you. Alright, I am back. My puppies are 100% A-okay, and the children are also okay. My son is still coughing, and I really hope he gets over it soon because, yeah, the poor kid, it's keeping him up at night and stuff. We've got different types of cough syrup for him to try, but unfortunately, you know, you guys, I'm sure you guys are aware that even cough syrup only goes so far, it can only do so much, so I'm putting my base layer light blue. This is the Holbein pastel lavender blue that I'm putting down very lightly. Like I said, with these pencils, what I found that you're kind of limited in the number of layers you get to use, even if you do go really light. So I'm trying to use the lightest hand possible to make sure I get my other colors that I want to use in here. And I broke like one of the cardinal rules of coloring just now, and I kind of feel like a jerk because of it. So let me fix it. There is nothing behind my paper. That's bad. Okay, so now there's something behind my paper. Go ahead and do the horse's neck. Alright, so let's get back to questions. Yay, questions. I don't know how many more I have. I don't think a whole lot. Okay, so we did all of the, how many pencil sets do I own? I didn't answer that. We got to like 21 or 22, I think, something like that. Next up is, what made you decide to start a YouTube channel and a Facebook group? And this is another really, really good question, and I'm really happy that somebody decided to ask. When I got started in my coloring journey, there were a lot of YouTubers that I watched more than any others. So my favorite two people to watch, or actually four. I had 4 YouTubers that I subscribed to almost right away. And they were, the first one was, of course, Jennifer Stay at Coloring Bliss. The second was Peta Hewitt, La Augustino. The third was Ann Siggers. And the fourth was Cher Kaufman. I watched these channels religiously. And to be honest, somehow, I don't know how it happened, but YouTube didn't really suggest any other channels to me. So channels like Anxiety Art Adventures and Reading with Pugs and Sweet Nightingale 1973, and a lot of those I wasn't even aware existed for the longest time until I actually decided that I was going to go join. I think the first Facebook group I actually joined was Jennifer Stay's Facebook group. And then after that, I joined the Pencil Stash Facebook group. And I know it seems irrelevant, but there's actually a reason why I'm telling you. So I joined all these Facebook groups and I watched all these YouTube videos and I really, really enjoyed it. But I felt like there was something missing. I felt like these guys, like as hard, like Jennifer and Rachel, and they're wonderful, and they try, really, really hard to explain things to people in a way that really makes sense to them. But I think I felt like what was missing from ColorTube was someone to go through the entire process of coloring a page from start to finish, including everything. So I do a lot of the same things that these ladies do. I do colored pencil reviews. I do unboxing videos. I do haul videos. I color and chat. I do things of that nature. The best color and chatter in YouTube land, and I'm sorry if anybody takes this personally, but my favorite personal color and chatter is Anne. I love the way that she does it. I love the way that when she colors on camera, she talks to me like I'm really there. And someone else asked me, do I ever sit and talk back to whoever is on YouTube? Like I'm sitting in the room with them all the time, especially with Anne. I'm always talking to her. But even though there were all these wonderful YouTube channels, I felt like there needed to be a channel where somebody would sit down with me and explain to me how to do things from start to finish. How do you pick which page you're going to color? Well, how do you know what pencils you're going to use once you choose that color, once you pick your page? What colors are you going to use once you know what pencils and page you're going to color? How do you put those colors down? Where do you know where your colors are going to go? What techniques do you use to get that page colored once you figure all that stuff out? As a very, very beginner, I wanted somebody to basically hold my hand, right? And I'm going to be honest with you guys right now. It is absolutely not necessary for anybody to ever hold your hand when it comes to coloring. You do not need someone to hold your hand. Coloring is meant to be a stress relieving and fun hobby, something to do. You just put the color on the paper. There's no wrong way to do it. If you color everything in a black Sharpie, and that's what you enjoy doing, then you're doing it right. Period. End of story. I was determined that at some point I was going to learn all these advanced coloring techniques. I was going to learn how to blend. I was going to learn how to shade. I was going to learn about all the lingo and all the different tools that these ladies kept in their coloring arsenals. And I was going to make wonderful things happen with all of those because that's what I like. I like to learn. Learning is what makes my life worth living. And while all of the YouTube channels that existed when I was new to coloring, everybody had their own unique way of teaching things. Even Anne, Anne will tell you, her channel is not a tutorial channel. She does not do tutorials. But if you watch her channel, you know as well as I do that you can learn quite a bit from her. She explains what she's doing and why she's doing it. She's not afraid to try new things on camera and explain what's happening, and I appreciate that. So the reason why I started my YouTube channel, and well, it's two different reasons for each thing. The reason I started a YouTube channel was because I wanted a place where I could sit down and explain things to people in a way that I wish somebody had explained it to me when I was new. So like when I did my Johanna Basford, my color along in Johanna's Christmas, right? I started that whole series out by showing you guys exactly the process I used to pick colors, because that's not something that I felt like anybody had really been over before. And it's things like that that I want to make sure that I get covered in my channel. Yes, I do tutorials. Yes, I show you how to blend and layer. Yes, I do hauls and Happy Mail, just like, it's like a common theme. But I want my channel to be more than hauls and Happy Mail and here's how to color here's how to color a flower. I want it to be, here's my process. Here's how I think when I do this. Here's why I think this works best for me. I want it to be a place where you guys know that you can sit with me on your screen right now and color whatever it is you're coloring and have fun and just feel like you're sitting in the room with me and we're having a conversation and we're talking about things, about our love of coloring. So that's why I started a YouTube channel. I didn't start my Facebook group until later, and I'm afraid that giving you the answer I want to give you is going to make people angry. But I'm not sure that it will make people angry because it's the truth. When I started my Facebook group, I did it because I wanted a place where people could feel comfortable in sharing anything. So, like, for instance, if you are watching YouTube and you stumble across a video where somebody's showing you how to color the perfect gem, I want you to not hesitate for a second to feel like you can come and share that with our Facebook group. And most groups don't allow for that because, you know, after all, a lot of these people work really hard to build their own unique channel and brand, basically. And for us to come in and post links to other YouTubers, that takes the attention off of the creator, and it can eventually cost that creator subscribers. And I understand why they're doing it, and I'm not angry that a lot of YouTube hostesses and the owners of Facebook groups and whatnot, I'm not angry with them that they choose to do things that way. I understand why they do it. I just wanted my group to be different. I wanted my group to be a place where if you have a YouTube channel, you can let us know that you have a YouTube channel. In fact, in my Facebook group, if you go to the files section right now, for those of you who are already members, if you go to the files section, you'll see a file that says add your info here. So you'll find a list of all the different members who have their own YouTube channels, blogs, Instagram accounts, Facebook groups, that kind of thing. If you go to that particular document, you will find all of that, and I encourage you to put it there. Absolutely 100%. Please put your information there. And for those of you who don't have the YouTube channels and things of that nature, if you're ever looking for something different, like you've run out of my videos to watch and you've run out of Ann's videos to watch and you're just looking for something new that you want to check out, go to that document and read through there and see what kind of stuff people have. There's a bunch of eclectic channels out there. So there's all kinds of stuff that you can watch. And that's why I wanted my own Facebook group, to be completely honest. Because I didn't want people to feel like they needed to get my permission to share a video that they found, or that they weren't allowed to say, oh, I did a video on this very topic and here's how I would do it, and then share the link. I don't allow people to spam my group trying, with come join my group or come subscribe to my YouTube channel. I don't allow for that because that does get frustrating and it kind of takes away from what we're doing, which is sharing our art and trying to help each other out. But what I do allow is, so let's say somebody posts that this page has all these gems on it and I don't know how to color gems. If you made a video on your channel on how to color gems, then you can say, hey, I made a video on this, check this out, and post it as a comment there for that person to watch. That kind of thing I do allow. The coloring community should not be divided. And I know that a lot of people actually make a living from their YouTube and Facebook ventures. Like Jennifer Stay and her husband Steve. Jennifer has health conditions, so she's not able to go out and work a job like, the most of us could. So she relies on her channel to help support her family. So for her, it is what it is, and she has her reasons for running things the way that she runs them. And I'm not saying that she's wrong, not at all. I just think that we, as not just the color tube hostesses necessarily, but all of us as colorists, as YouTube hostesses, as people who write blogs, as we all need to be supporting one another. This is not a competition. We should never compete with each other to see who's going to have the most subscribers, or whose video is going to get the most watches, or who has the most stuff, or who can do the best contest. none of that should apply. We should all support each other in the community, and my Facebook group is an attempt to do just that. And I have been told that my Facebook group is very different from many of the other ones, which is a good thing. That's what I wanted. Not that there's anything wrong with anybody else's Facebook group. I just wanted mine to be different. I wanted it to be where people could feel like they could share things without having, without having their post deleted or having to ask, is this okay to share? All right, so let's put the dark blue in the horse's face. I'm going to shade right here above this little bone. I probably should have put the other blue in there too. Surprisingly, these pencils aren't acting terribly on this Create Space paper. I'm trying to get used to it because a lot of my favorite art is on this paper, unfortunately. And it gets expensive to print everything out that I want to color. So I am trying to make the best of the Create Space. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who just absolutely won't, and I can't say that I blame you. I've had somebody in the group said the other day, and if it was you who said it, I'm sorry I can't remember your name. Please claim your brilliant comment downstairs in the comment box. But somebody said in my group the other day that she couldn't stand the Create Space paper. It was like trying to color on a zipper. And it was the most accurate description of Create Space paper I had ever heard. And it was brilliant. So if that was you who said that, please let us know so we can all congratulate you for coming up with that, because that was a really good analogy. All right, back to the questions. Oh, anyway, Tanya, I hope I did manage to answer your question. Like I said, I started my group and whatnot because I just wanted something a little bit different than what was already out there. And I felt like the community needed something a little bit different than was already out there. So that's my reason why. Okay, next up. Zoe Archer. Zoe, I love your channel too. Your channel's so cute. I love the way you do things. If you had a whole day to yourself and you could go anywhere and eat anything, what would you do in those 24 hours? I would go to Australia and I would eat an entire cheesecake in the company of Hugh Jackman, and I would buy the most expensive art supplies that money can buy, and I would color with them all day. And just to be clear, expensive doesn't necessarily mean better, but if I could do anything I wanted to do, I would just buy the expensive art supplies for the sake of buying them, just to do it. So that would be my perfect day. Cheesecake for lunch in Australia with Hugh Jackman. Yep. Doesn't get any better than that. What are your dogs' names? Oh, Charmaine Schultz. What are your dogs' names, and how about posting a pic of them? I'm going to have to take their picture, actually. I don't think I have a recent one. My dogs' names are Smokey and Bandit. They are named after Smokey and the Bandit. Smokey's a blue heeler. He is 3.5 years old. 4 years old now. Bandit is a Mountain Feist Walker Coonhound mix, and he is closer to 5 years old. Smokey is a very obedient dog, albeit he can be a little frustrating. Bandit has anxiety disorder of some kind. We can't figure it out. Some days he's really, really good. He doesn't have any issues. Other days it seems like everything makes him panic. So we just do our very best with him and try to keep him comfortable and happy and play with him, give him treats, that kind of thing. So I hope that answers your question. I will, as soon as I manage to get a decent picture of the two of them together, I will share photographs of them with you. All right, guys, I'm getting a notification that my battery is low. So I'm going to stop the video here, and I'm going to charge my phone for a while. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to head out of town, and I'll be back in a couple hours. So I will finish this up when I get back. I probably won't finish this whole picture by any means, but I will finish answering the questions. Thanks. All right, everybody, thank you so much for your patience. I was gone for about 3 hours, even though it was only a split second for you. I had a lot of different businesses I had to go take care of, but that's all settled now, so we can get back to coloring and answering some of your questions. I actually need to do a little sharpening. You should see my desk right now. I have things everywhere. Let's try this sharpener on. Let's try the number 2 setting. I've not put any of the Holbeins in here yet, so. Ooh, look at that. I'm weird. When I sharpen my pencil, you guys have probably seen this. I have to like tap the point so I feel how sharp it is. That does a fantastic job with those. The Crayolas, not so much. The Crayolas don't seem to like it as much. It was breaking the one, so maybe I need to keep a shorter point on these as well. I keep it on the number 1 setting with my Prismacolor, because like I said earlier, the shorter the core that sticks out of the pencil, the less likely it is to break. And yes, it does mean you're going to have to sharpen a little more often than normal because you don't have as much core sticking out. But it also means your core is going to break less, which is, to me, that's a good thing. So I'm going to get back to coloring my horse here, and we will take a look at the questions. We almost actually finished them up. But to continue to answer Charmaine's question, I believe it was Charmaine's question. Yeah, Charmaine wanted to know what my dog's names are, and posting a pic. What I'll do is I will try to take a picture of them when I'm finished recording this video, and I will try to get it up in the Facebook group. And when I post mine, I will actually open it up for everybody else to post pictures of their animals. I've realized that a couple of other groups have done this as well, but we do have, a lot of animal lovers out there, so if you guys want to share your fur babies with us at any point, feel free to do so. I love to see them. And I'm also happy to take a picture of my mutts if they cooperate. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. We'll see what happens. But yes, they are Smokey and Bandit, and they are my fur babies, and they are pains in my rear end. But they are good, and I love them. So it looks like I have 2 more questions. I'm going to read through some comments too, just to be absolutely certain on that. The next question comes from Tracy Cromwell, and she asks, do you ever have people laugh or chuckle when you talk about adult coloring? If so, any suggestions on what to say to them? I used to. My brother was one who I think used to say, oh, that's like a hobby for kids, and then you bump in, like I bumped into people at Walmart while I was shopping in the book aisle for like Ivy and the Inky Butterfly or something, and they ask you, what it is, and you explain to them it's a coloring book, and oh, well, that's a nice gift, maybe I'll get one for my daughter. And then you say, well, it's an adult coloring book, you can get one for your daughter, but it's an intricate coloring book made for adults, and adults color and blah, 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 blah. I don't think my boyfriend understood it very much when I first started doing it either. That kind of thing. So I think it depends on what kind of grief you get from people, really. There was someone who was posting in another group or in this group, I can't remember, I belong to a lot of groups, about how somebody asked her what she wanted for Christmas, and she said coloring supplies, and they made fun of her for spending her time coloring. So I think that my biggest suggestion for that would be, make sure that you're pointing out that there have been studies, scientific studies done on the benefits of adult coloring. And for many people, it is just as effective as antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. It lessens your dependence on those things. In some cases, of course, not for everyone. I'm not going to sit and speak for everyone's, problems. There have been studies that it reduces blood pressure. For people who are suffering from high blood pressure. It does relieve stress. It helps you take your mind off your troubles. And like I tell other people, if you can find a way to say it without being snarky about it, ask your friends and family and people who make fun of you about your coloring habit or who tease you for your coloring habit, how much TV do they watch? Well, you're sitting and exercising your mind while you color. How many of them are mindlessly watching television? So that's one way to look at it. It's kind of hard to say that though without it coming out like you're having an attitude problem or being snarky, but honestly, that's the truth. A lot of us have husbands or boyfriends who play video games, and I brought this up in one of the first videos I ever recorded. A lot of us have significant others who play video games a lot. And, they can sit and play video games for 3 or 4 hours and not think twice, but people will, look at you and make fun of you because you choose to sit and color for 3 or 4 hours. So it's really no different. It's a hobby and it's something that you enjoy. I think that the best comeback for people who want to try to give you grief over coloring is for you to just tell them, excuse me, for you to just tell them that it's something that makes you happy. It's something that relieves your stress, and it stops you from feeling irritated about everything, because that's exactly what it does for me. Since I started doing this and joined the color community and started my YouTube channel, I have been a happier person, completely. And I'm not the only one who notices this. I still have my days, don't get me wrong. I do still have my days where I'm grouchy and things just don't go right. But for the most part, I'm a lot happier than I was before I started coloring. So be sure to point that out to people too. Above all else, it's for you. It's not for them. When you sit down to color, you're not forcing someone else to color. You're doing it for yourself and not for anybody else. So there's really no reason for them to have anything to say to you. As far as, and we'll just extend on your question a little bit, as far as spending money on your coloring supplies, I think that in any relationship, in any situation, it is vitally important that both people in that relationship have an understanding and that you have the equivalent of an adult allowance. You have a certain amount of money that you're allowed to spend on your hobbies or for yourself, to help encourage your hobby and to help keep you going. Again, falling back to video games, I know a lot of men who will pre-order video games and spend $60 a pop and then buy every single expansion pack that comes out, those things aren't cheap either. So I think sometimes for that though, it's not so much that people try to make you feel bad for spending money. I think sometimes it's that we end up making ourselves feel bad. We buy something and think, well, that money I could have bought shoes for my kid, or I could have bought, I could have given my car a tune-up, or I could have done this, or I could have done that. And that's true, you could have done all those things, but in the end, your happiness is important too. So just don't forget that. Of course, if it's not in your budget to go out and buy $100 worth of art supplies, don't go out and buy $100 worth of art supplies by any means. Don't go spend the rent money buying art supplies. But if you have the money and it comes down to either you can spend some money on yourself or you can take that money and go spend it on someone else, don't forget to spend some money on yourself sometimes too. You are worth it. You are worth having nice things and taking care of yourself too. And that's, I firmly believe that. So I hope that answers your question, Tracy. All right, the last question that we have is from Cynthia Oliver. Hi, Cynthia. How much time a day do you spend coloring on my Facebook page and making videos? Actually, that answer is probably really going to surprise you. I spend a lot of time with this group. Like you heard me say earlier, I do work from home, so I have the luxury of being at my computer pretty much all day. So it's easy for me, like once I finish up a blog post, to just hop on over to the group, take a look around, see what's going on, and then go back to work. It's really, really easy for me to do that. The time I spend making videos, oh goodness, 6 or 7 hours a week goes into just making the videos, and then another, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 hours a week goes into editing and uploading them and all that kind of stuff. Coloring, I spend far more time coloring than I do making YouTube videos. That's just the truth. I really do. I color, my favorite times to color are in the morning when I first wake up. I will color. So I'll get up out of bed, my alarm goes off, I get up out of bed, I go get my coffee, and I come and sit down in front of my computer, and the first thing I do is scroll Facebook, the Facebook group, to see what everybody's posted overnight. Once I've done that and commented, if I have the time to leave comments, of course I comment. Once I've done that, then I'll head over to YouTube and I will look at all the comments there, and I'll spend some time answering the comments there. Once I've finished that, then I will go back to the Facebook group and I will generally color for just a little while. I usually get up in the morning at 6. I take my kids to school. We leave at 7:30. So I get so between the time I wake up at 6 and the time I take the kids to school at 7:30, that's when I spend my time looking through the Facebook group in the morning and replying to YouTube comments. And then I return from taking the kids to school. I'm home at right before 8 o'clock. So between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock is when I usually try to do some coloring and some planning for future videos. So that's, let's see, an hour and a half. So it's like 2.5 hours a day just in the morning. I typically record my videos in the afternoon or in the evening, depending on when I have the time. And it takes, on average, double the length of the video to actually make that video happen, because I have to record it and then it has to go into the editing software. And once it goes into the editing software, it has to save, and then I have to upload it to YouTube. And then I have to, before I make it public, I have to watch it back and make sure everything's okay. If something isn't right, then I have to go through the editing and uploading process again. It sounds like a lot of work, and I'm aware that it sounds like a lot of work. It's really not, though. It's fun for me to do what I do. It's rewarding for me because it's helpful for you. It makes it worth it for me that you guys get so much help out of the videos and that you enjoy coloring while you watch the videos. So that is what makes everything 100% absolutely worth it for me, is knowing that you guys are enjoying yourselves. So I really hope that answers your question. To give you a figure, like just a number, how much time in a day do you spend coloring on your Facebook page and making videos? I would say 4 or 5 hours in total is what I spend coloring, making Facebook videos, or making YouTube videos and on Facebook. Sometimes more if I'm coloring just for myself, because I do work on pages that aren't on camera too, because of course that's my quiet time. And even though I do color on camera, I color off camera too. It's my quiet time. I think this horse is looking pretty nice. Before I go though, I do want to try some Gamsol and see how it works with these pencils on. This is Create Space paper, like I said in the beginning. And I've tried with a dry stump here. I've kind of tried to shave my stump down. And I've tried with a dry stump to go in and blend some of this out. And it does work a little bit to a degree, especially if you have like a lot of layers on there. You see the difference? It covers up a lot of that white space in the paper. But I want to try it with Gamsol and see how it works with the Holbeins and the Crayolas, because I've never done it before. So I put just a tiny little bit of the Odorless Mineral Spirits. Can you see it on my thing, how it's just a little bit wet right there? And I'm going to go in here at the horse's nose and just go in a circular motion and see what it does. Wow, the difference is crazy. Let me zoom in and do its face so that you guys can really see what I'm talking about. And hopefully it's not going to get too blurry. Okay, so if you look here, do you see how this looks smooth like marker? And then you look here and you see how there's still some of the white of the paper showing through and it looks like rough textured. All right, let me get a little bit more Gamsol on my on my stump, just to show you. I just got the very end of it wet, okay? And there's still some color on there, but that's okay because it's the same color as this. So now I'm just going to go in small circular motions. And with like a medium pressure, I don't have to push really hard. I'm going to turn my stump to make sure I'm getting all the Gamsol off. Now once it stops blending it out like this, you know you need more. And then you just go back into your Odorless mineral spirits. Gamsol, the Mona Lisa, Odorless paint thinner. I'll put links to all these things in the description box below if you're interested in getting yourself some. The Mona Lisa Odorless paint thinner, I think, has more of a smell to it. It's not really a smell, it's like fumes. But it's not terrible unless you have breathing problems, of course. But I think the Mona Lisa is a little bit worse than the Gamsol. But you get double the product for just about the same price. So if things like that don't bother you too much, then you might want to go with the Mona Lisa, just to save yourself money. And it'll last forever. I've had this bottle of Gamsol for months on end. Can you tell the difference in that now? How it looks, looks like almost like I colored it with marker. Trying to get down in by the little baubles. And see, now at this point, because I didn't burnish with a pencil, I didn't take a blender pencil and press really hard and flatten down the tooth. Once this dries completely, I can come back in with my pencils and shade some more, and it'll layer like a champ, because basically this is melting out that pigment and it's distributing it evenly across that area. So it's not, the tooth of the paper is still there. I can still feel it. So like I said, I can come back in with my pencils and I can add more layers of color really, really easily. Now remember though that the more pigment you put on your paper, the more layers that you have added, the less Gamsol you want to use. You want to have just a tiniest amount when you have a lot of pigment, because otherwise it's going to scrape all your pigment off rather than blend it together. All right, guys, I think I have answered all the questions. So at this point, I am going to go ahead and call this video done for today, because it is long enough. Man, I have talked your all's faces off. I also need to go and get some rest for absolute certain. So I am going to go ahead and call it quits at this point. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget the live stream on Facebook, Sundays at 7 p.m. Central Time. So check your local time zone, compare it to Central, and then be there at 7 p.m. You can support my channel in a whole bunch of different ways. One of the easiest ways to do that is just like this video and subscribe to my channel so other people will happen to see it. And that is by far one of the best things you could possibly do. You can find links to all the products that I used in this video in the description box below. So if you are interested in ordering this coloring book, if you want to take a look at this pencil sharpener, or if you want to order yourself some odorless mineral spirits, there's links in the description box down there to the lowest prices that I could find on Amazon at the time the video was recorded. If you order through those links, you're basically, every order you place, I make like a tiny little bit of money. It's basically like a commission for sending you to Amazon to buy it. I also have a link to a tip jar down there if you choose to go that route. It is a one-time thing, guys. It's not a monthly recurring charge like Patreon. Nothing of the sort, and you get to choose how much you would like to donate, and all of the donations and the money that I earn through my Amazon affiliate links go right back into the channel so that I can show you brand new content. All right, well, thank you very much for joining me today while I colored in Deborah Muller's Christmas Magic, and until I see you again, happy coloring.